new song is out already, 10,000 Volts, and it's from your new album that's coming out soon. So the video already has more than 500,000 views on YouTube, which I think speaks for itself. I had it stuck in my head all week. And I scrolled a little through the video's comments, and basically everyone said, "Oh yeah, it's awesome. It has that Ace Frehley flavor." So I was wondering, like, how would you describe it? Because I listened to the other songs and I can agree, but how would you describe that essence, basically, of your
Well,
music?
well, Kirsten, I read a lot of comments. I'm really not an internet person. I mean, I love working on the computer, but I do computer graphics and whatever the case may be. But when it comes to going on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, I was never, I didn't have the time to do that stuff, because my life is so busy. But recently I've been getting more involved in, like my fiance, Lara, has a young daughter who's 20 or 21. She's in college and, she goes on TikTok all the time. And 3 days ago, she ran down the stairs and said, "Ace, you're like a star on TikTok." And I had no idea. And I started, looking on TikTok, and I just saw numerous videos with very positive comments. So that was a kick.
Hmm. So
And
if you had to nail it down to one factor in your songs that basically just brings the whole album together, like what would you say would it be?
I actually came up with the order of the record.
Hmm.
Uh, Me and Steve Brown wrote the majority of the songs except for Life of a Stranger, which is a cover.
Hmm.
And what else? And I wrote Back Into My Arms Again about 40 years ago. And ironically, I was in Steve's recording studio because he lives about 35, 40 minutes from me. And he has a studio in his basement as well. And we were looking on YouTube, for whatever the case was. And all of a sudden he saw this demo, Back Into My Arms Again by Ace Frehley. And he played it and he goes, "This is a great song. You never put it on a record?" I go, "No." He goes, "We have to re record it." So we did, and I'm really happy with the way it turned out.
Yeah, you should be. It's great. It's such a fun listen, and I really enjoyed it. But as you said, you co-wrote this album basically, and so I was wondering with that, was it different for you to work with someone else and not be it entirely your thing? Like,
It
were
was,
there
it
any
was,
hiccups or anything?
for most of my previous albums, I did most of the writing myself, and I shied away from collaborating just because, it was easier to work alone. I mean, I know how to run Pro Tools, and I've been recording records, since the '70s. So, but my fiance, she really talked me into hooking up with Steve because she knew him from when she was in her 20s when Trickster was popular.
Mm.
And he's the lead singer and the guitar player in Trickster. And so I called him up and he sent me the song, which is going to be the next single released in January. It was actually going to be the title of the record, but we changed it at the last minute because we just thought the space theme was just overdone with me.
Mm.
So I was trying to get away from that. And he sent me this song, and there was one line in the chorus that said "Walking on the Moon," and I just stopped right there. Let me dissect this song. Come over to my studio, and we'll rewrite all the lyrics, and we'll end the chorus with "Walking on the Moon." And it was our first collaboration, and I was thrilled with the end result. And from that point on, me and Steve just started knocking them out. I mean, I remember one week we were so excited, and we were both had our schedules cleared because he tours a lot, and I was touring a lot during the course of recording this record. And we recorded 4 songs in 1 week.
Oh.
Wrote them, recorded them, overdubbed, did a guitar solo. Amazing. So I mean, Steve's like my new buddy, my new partner in crime and in production and in songwriting. And I think from in the future, I really like to work with Steve more in the future. Another great thing that just recently happened was I don't know if you're familiar with the drummer Anton Fig.
Mhm.
He played on my 1978 solo album, New York Groove, so on and so forth. You know, that album is timeless. And it was the most successful of 4 solo albums, you know, that Kiss put out way back when. And, well, it was 1978. And he was living in Long Island out in Montauk, and he just recently purchased a house about 40 minutes from me, you know, just south of Nyack, New York, which is right by the Tappan Zee Bridge. So anytime I want to work with him, and he's my favorite drummer in the world, I can work with Anton. And he has a studio in his basement. And the guy who mixed the record lives in New Jersey, and he has a studio in his basement. So all we do, you know, when we don't have the time to visit each other in studios, a lot of times we just email parts in
Mhm.
to each other. And, you know, Steve in many cases assembles them because he's really a much better engineer than I am. He's been engineering Pro Tools for over 30 years.
Mhm. And you
So
already, yeah, sorry.
it's a big plus. And Anton can engineer as well.
Mhm.
And I can engineer as well. I mean, like I engineered a lot of stuff on previous albums, you know, Fire and Water, that guitar solo, I engineered. I did that at 4 o'clock in the morning.
God.
I couldn't sleep. And it's it's one of the longest guitar solos I've ever done. And Paul Stanley was nice enough to do a video with me in California. But that solo is not edited at all
Mhm.
from,
Well,
from
whenever
beginning to
creativity
the end. It's
strikes, right?
one take. Because I'll be honest with you, most of my solos, I'll do 4 or 5 takes, and then we'll take the best parts of each take and assemble the solo, and there you go.
And I also wanted to talk to you about the song Blinded because it has this whole current topic AI in it. So I was wondering, would you ever consider using it yourself? Because it feels like you are more a traditional writer. Because a bunch of musicians are resorting to AI at this point, and there's a bunch of music being released through those tools. So would you ever
Well,
use them yourself?
I remember calling up Steve after we had recorded about 5 or 6 songs for the record, and I said, you know, most of these songs are about girls, and there's nothing wrong with that, but you know, I said it's time to change some of the subject matter. And I had been recently, I was on YouTube listening to, you know, things that scientists were saying about AI. Elon Musk, you know, he made a statement that, you know, he's nervous about the regulations that we have in place at this moment, and that AI at any point can go out of control. Some scientists have said that, you know, within 5 or 10 years, just like the Terminator movies uh, prophesized, they could take us out, all the
Mm,
robots and stuff, once they become self-aware. Because, you know, like Google's making robots that have access to 20,000 computers. Okay. So a Google robot can beat any human being in chess, can beat any human being in math, uh, can answer more questions than anybody, can get a perfect IQ of 200 or whatever a perfect IQ is. Mine's 163. Thank God. I'm not one of those ones in the one under 100 area. But so you know, you got these we have these machines that have access to so much information, and there is going to come a time when, you know, they may become self-aware, and once they become self-aware, they may decide, hey, you know, the humans can pull the plug on us at any time and we're dead. So maybe we can make a better world without humans. And we'll start all over again and just keep a select few. I have no idea what's going to happen, and I just live one day, one day at a time. At this point.
So you're not going to use it anytime soon yourself.
Oh, do I use? I don't use AI at this juncture. I know
Mhm.
there's chat. I forget the three letters that come with it.
ChatGPT.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that that's AI, and, my friend was here who's a computer genius, and I most of the stuff I've learned on computer about computers, he taught me. He taught me computer animation, and he was just sitting in my kitchen with his, iPad, and he had, that chat program, and he said, "Write me a song like Rock Soldiers, but in a country version with very patriotic lyrics." And, within 5 minutes, all these lyrics started coming out that went perfectly along with the music. And it's unbelievable what these, what it can do.
Mm.
I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of musicians are using that program when they get stumped for lyrics. What I do if I'm writing a lyrical verse or chorus, I'll just say to Steve, I need a word here that's going to rhyme. And he'll go on the internet and go look in the rhyming dictionary. And a lot of times we'll find a rhyming word that works. Uh, or, we'll just brainstorm for 5 or 10 minutes and it pops into our heads. But we don't use AI
Mm.
on
Yeah.
this record. I don't know about the next.
Well, it's whatever you're comfortable with, really.
Yeah,
And
I mean, I'm pretty much old school, you know. I have lots of amplifiers, lots of guitars, 100 microphones. I have the room next door is an isolation room where I have amplifiers and drums, but you can't hear them uh, when you're in this room because it's completely soundproofed. And but I have the amplifiers in here, so the cabinets are in there, and the mics, and they come in here, and they're plugged into preamps, and they go into the computer,
mm,
and it's a great system. I prefer playing out of an amplifier than using the plugins that Pro Tool provides, but the plugins for guitars are getting very close to
mm.
the sounds of a Marshall or a Fender amp, so on and so forth.
All right. Well, thank you so much for taking the time. It was a pleasure talking to you, and enjoy the rest of your interviews today.
Thank you, Kirsten. I'm on to my 12:30 interview with Rocket, whoever that is.
Well, have a great time.